Here's a review of methods of using a RFID system. So typically here at Senatron, we recommend a couple of different possible methods. The first most common, easiest, cost-effective method is to use a handheld RFID scanner, in which case the benefits are, doing fast cycle counts, doing fast transfer slips. You can use the same handheld scanner and scan in a couple of hundred items in or out of inventory from one location to another, or scan a bunch of items and change their status to whatever status you want. For example, return to factory or whatever else it is, to remove it from inventory. You could use it to Geiger for stuff using the handheld, so that makes it like an audio visual cue to find stuff quickly. So you get those benefits with method one. It's one or more handheld RFID scanners. You get the RFID printer labels. You scan up 20, for example, you print 20,000 labels and you scan it in, and you say every Monday I want to do a cycle count using RFID technology and be much faster, doing much faster inventory than I would have done any other method, which is commonly known. So in this example, if you're using it with just a handheld, I've kind of laid out a workflow so you guys understand how you would use it, and to understand why a handheld RFID scanner is a very nice way of using RFID. And then we talk about, the second method, which is a hybrid. A hybrid is handheld and fixed RFID readers at choke points or possibly everywhere. So as far as the first method goes, the example that I've got over here is, you say every Monday I want to do an RFID inventory cycle count, or once a month I want to do it at the beginning of the month, or every 2 weeks. It's your choice what you decide with that. But essentially, the workflow will be like this. Let's say you signed up for RFID tomorrow. You tag up 20,000 items. The first time you do inventory, you read the entire inventory using a handheld RFID scanner, and you get the numbers, and you sync that to your POS. And in this example, it basically says you read 20,000 items on the first time you did it the first Monday, and you sync that into your POS and ERP. The first time, your POS ERP will have the biggest discrepancy because usually the ERP or POS is so off, and once you do an RFID scan for the first time, it will get the accurate numbers. The second time, the second Monday, your POS will, let's say for example, it has, you check and it has 19,500 items in inventory, because yes, your ERP or POS deducts the inventory as you sell it or transfer it out. So for all intents and purposes, your POS should be accurate. But then the second Monday, you scan with the RFID handheld scanner, you get 19,400 items. Then you can very quickly, you've done your inventory and you could see what the discrepancy is, and you can focus on those 100 items. And you could see, oh, you know what, we forgot. There was 100 things that we transferred to store number 2 that we forgot to mark down on the POS. It's not stolen, it's not lost. That's what it was. So again, with this method one, you accomplished your biggest challenge, which was to do inventory fast with the least amount of labor. And you did that, and you were able to very quickly see what was your discrepancy, and then you were able to narrow down and figure out what was missing and hopefully how it went missing. The system, the dashboard has the functionality for you to compare the inventory. So going to the dashboard, again, let's say you do the hand scan. Once you upload, after a few minutes, it will get processed, and this number will update as to what you have in the inventory. You can look at it and see what's in different areas of the location. You can click on an individual inventory and look to see exactly, how many you have on hand and where you have them on the floor plan. With the handheld scanner, we do have a proprietary method that you could still see where everything is on the plan, on the floor plan. and you can compare that, and you can go to the compare section, and you can export the inventory counts from your ERP or POS system into Senatron, and it will compare it for you side by side. And it will say, yes, there's a 92.5% match. It will show you what is the discrepancy between Senatron and the external system. It will show you what Senatron has more than the external system, and what the external system has more than Senatron. And you can click on it and see those individual differences. And you could also, look at the differences here on the actual dashboard and look at them side by side. It has different columns of information, external count, the difference, and it can even tell you on a category level where are the discrepancies on a category level. Is it the shoes that's missing? Is it the hats? Is it widget A? Is it inventory item B in a warehouse? Again, it could be retail, warehouse, manufacturing. It doesn't matter. You can use this compare tool to see where the discrepancies are and drill down into it. And you can even send the discrepancies to a handheld and go track down those discrepancies and say, hey, you know what? Those 20 widget A's, I know where those widget A's were. Let me go and double check. And you could go and double check and fix that inventory. And then if happy, push that back into the ERP or POS. For example, you do conclude that there's 100 things missing. You still have to sync that back to the ERP or POS. That's what it does. That's the purpose of it was to make your job easier. It did. You got your count in a much faster method. You found your discrepancies, and then you corrected the ERP or POS. So that's method one. The pros and cons, like I said, with method one is that it's very easy to deploy. It's very cost effective. It's very fast to deploy. You don't have to install fixed sensors and get an installer to run cables or anything else. It's just this, printer, labels, and you're done. And you still can do cycle counts, transfer ins, transfer outs, quickly find items using this, get locationing information on the floor plan. So it has a lot of nice benefits, compare tools, and those kind of things. And then the one thing to keep in mind is the negative part about it is if you're doing a scan on this on Monday, and on Monday you sold one of widget A, on Tuesday, if you look at your POS will have 4 because your POS knows you sold 1. But the RFID system won't know that. So meaning if you look on the RFID dashboard because you want to see where it is on the floor plan, it won't be in sync because you haven't done another scan at that moment. So the information is only as accurate, to the time that you did it. But if you've sold stuff and you've transferred out, then you have, one of these could have been sold that you don't know which one it was because that's not synced into here. That's so if you have a desire so that the map in Senatron continues to reflect, or the numbers continues to reflect from this Monday to next Monday, so you can always keep looking at the Senatron dashboard, then you may want to consider method 2. Method 2, essentially, the difference is that we put RFID sensors at the checkout points, at the POS stations, so that as you're selling an item, it's your RFID scanning it into the POS system, and it's getting removed from the POS and the RFID system. Or if it leaves out the door, you configure it so that something that leaves, it gets deducted from the inventory. So different ways of configuring it. But so that's what it is. So basically with the second system, it's a hybrid of handheld and fixed RFID readers. The benefits are fast cycle count, transfer in and out, quickly finding items, and then keeping inventory in sync between RFID counts with the RFID and POS. And then it has other automations. So for example, if you have fixed readers at the exit points, you could get an unauthorized alert or theft alert audio SMS, or automated replenishment alerts, or automated movement tracking. So if something moves from this side of the location to the other side, you'll see the circle move to the other side and you know that the item moved. With a hybrid system where fixed RFID readers are used at the exit points in between zones, checkpoints, because it will have some additional benefits. So this talk kind of highlights about that. Fixed RFID at exit points have readers. Having readers at the exit points will help the system show when items left the building for traceability auditing purposes, as well as setting off unauthorized alerts. For example, if an item was not sold on the POS and it goes out, noting nothing is foolproof, any technology can be circumvented. As you know, EIS, we've talked about that in the previous videos, it will set off an alert. Fixed RFID between zones. Having readers between zones will help you know if an item moved from the sales floor to the backstock warehouse to production room. Therefore, you can have more accurate location information, what's in the back, what's in the front, as well as it will help you to set off replenishment alerts. So we can have the replenishment alert system setting. Say you always want to have one of those items in the warehouse, or in the sales floor, and if it sees one in the other zone, set off an automated replenishment zone that says replenish this personnel. Additionally, when you have fixed readers at the checkout points like the POS stations, as I was explaining, the Senatron dashboard will continue to reflect correctly, meaning that if this item was sold, the status would have changed to sold, and this would be in sync in between scans, so that if you have 4 left, you know which one it is that, which ones you still have left and which one was the one that was sold when you look here. Of course, your POS will still reflect 4, so you can look at your POS and ERP for accurate inventory even if you don't do method 2. But this is, again, beneficial if you want to look at the Senatron dashboard to see what you have. Just in general, we have some other videos that more in depth talk about how you search for inventory on the Senatron dashboard. You can filter by zones, so you could see what you have in each area. By status, you could see what things are live status or what's pending visibility, something that hasn't been seen for X number of hours or days. You can filter by category, and there's a lot of different options in the software, but regarding inventory and tracking, that's primarily it. You can click on an asset and you could see the history of breadcrumbs of movement. When was it first created? When did it move from this zone to that zone, from sell stock to back stock? So all of that information is there.